2 best float adjustment methods for wild carp fishing, recommended to all anglers. How to adjust the float when fishing for carp in the wild. It's no exaggeration to say that a correct float adjustment strategy can improve the catch rate, reduce the rate of fish escaping, and help you catch at least 1/3 more carp in a year. To make a long story short, the whole approach consists of 2 steps, which I'll share with you without reservation. Reading it from start to finish will definitely be of great help to you. Step 1. Adjust the float according to the water and fish conditions, that is, what we commonly call adjusting to a certain number of meshes and fishing at a certain number of meshes. First, get this right. There are only 2 commonly used methods. The first method, when there is no significant water flow in the water area and the number of small fish is not too large, the hooked float adjustment method is usually used. After finding the bottom with a heavy lead, pull down the float by the length of one float body plus 25 cm. Hang double hooks in mid-water, cut the lead skin to make the float show 2 meshes, then hang double hooks with double baits, push up the float to fish at 4 meshes, which is adjusting to 2 meshes in mid-water with hooks and fishing at 4 meshes. It's really not recommended to adjust to flat water with hooks and fish at 2 or 3 meshes. Because the floats used for carp fishing basically have thickened meshes, once adjusted to flat water, you can't even figure out the approximate state of the hook and bait, or whether the swivel is touching the bottom. Moreover, fishing at too low a mesh is easy to be deceived by the fake movements of carp, which will cause great problems in catching the bite. Of course, this method of adjusting to 2 meshes with hooks and fishing at 4 meshes, combined with a 50 to 60 cm folded subline, has a strong luring effect. The state of the hook and bait is one lying and one standing, with high sensitivity and good float watching effect. The second situation, there is water flow and a lot of small fish. Remember not to use a large running lead right away. Since the floats used for carp fishing generally have a relatively large lead capacity, if used properly, they can stabilize themselves. The preferred float adjustment method is the small running lead. Without hooks, trim the lead in mid-water to flat water, hang double hooks with double baits, and push up the float to fish at 3 meshes. At this time, the state of the hook and bait is that the swivel touches the bottom, and the 2 sublines lie horizontally. Compared with the large running lead with excessive lead added, the small running lead has smoother float signals, a higher fish catch rate, and almost no rocket bites, sudden sharp drops of the float. In addition, remember 2 key points when using the small running lead. Control the length of the subline to about 30 cm, folded, to maintain the corresponding sensitivity. Try to hang corn instead of using bait. Carp will shake their heads, and there is a risk of the bait being shaken off. Combined with the running lead, it often results in empty hooks or hooking fish by accident. After learning the basic adjusting to a certain number of meshes and fishing at a certain number of meshes, we move on to the second step of float adjustment for carp fishing, learning to press the water line. Whether using fermented corn or commercial bait balls for carp fishing, the weight of the bait is very heavy. No matter how you adjust to a certain number of meshes and fish at a certain number of meshes, as soon as you cast the rod, the bait, due to its large inertia, will pull the lead sinker forward, eventually forming a situation where the bait is in front and the float is behind, which is commonly known as over bottom. Once the fishing tackle is over bottom, there are two serious consequences. Part of the float's signals will be dispersed, and many of the supposed float movements will not be displayed, leading to a significant increase in the angler's empty hook rate and fish escape rate. The angle of the rod for controlling the fish is limited, and it's very easy to have a tug-of-war and line break after the carp swallows the hook. The over bottom of the fishing tackle can't be solved by adjusting the fishing method, but only by the technique of pressing the water line. The specific operation is as follows. When casting the rod, pinch the lead block with the thumb and index finger of the left hand, spread the two sublines with the remaining fingers, and use the right hand to cast the fishing tackle. Remember to cast the full length of the rod. After casting, keep an eye on the float. At the moment the float turns over, pull the entire rod back more than 70 centimeters. When it starts to sink slowly and is about to reach the bottom, push it back. You can check by extending the rod forward to see if the number of fishing meshes changes. If there is no change, it means that your fishing tackle is not over bottom, and your casting, fishing meshes, and settings are all correct. Then, when you fish later, the bites will be very clear, and you won't easily break the line when lifting the rod. Author profile: I'm a self-media blogger who loves fishing and is good at sharing. Follow me, and we can exchange fishing skills and discuss every detail of wild fishing for anglers. Give a like, save, and follow to never miss the next update.